one thing that for as long as I've been brewing, I wish I had been taking better notes years and years ago. I would love to be able to have a compendium of like everything I've ever done, but I don't because I wasn't, you know, I was so maybe because of we talked earlier about my profession thing. I was trying to like not have that creep in, but now being older and trying to really hone the process in, it's notes, man. It's just really good notes. And not just your recipe and process, but you got to take a moment after you brew a beer, right? To take your recipe page, flip it over, and sit down, just you, quietly, drink the beer, and write down what you're tasting. Right? I think most of us probably don't do that. We finally get to this phase,
Hmm.
and we drink it, and we like it, or whatever, and we think, "Oh, I might make this again someday." But in order to make it again someday, maybe you want to do a tweak. It really helps to have written down some tasting notes, right?
Right. No, it makes
And write
sense.
down, you know what, this is just not biscuity enough, or the color was a little too dark, so that next time when you change the recipe, you actually have that instead of just looking at the recipe again and going, I think I like this. I don't remember, so.
Yep. Makes total sense. Yep. Makes total sense. So, have you guys ever had like a disaster beer, or excuse me, you ever had a beer that you thought was a disaster but actually turned out phenomenal?
Mm.
Well, you'll probably see, I had a competition, our own, Jar of Destiny,
Hmm.
challenge was, my latest one was a spice beer, and I didn't know how that was gonna come out. But, no spoilers, but, it turned out pretty good. So we'll wait for that video to be posted.
So
But,
now I have high hopes because you said it turned out pretty good. So got it.
Yes,
No
I was
spoilers.
floored. I was floored by that beer.
yeah, so it turned out okay. But it's one of those things where if you don't really know how to spice a beer, you're kind of going in like, I'm just going to read as much as I can.
Hmm.
And, if 9 out of 10 resources say it's going to be this amount, then
Just go with
I'm
that
pretty
amount.
sure that it's going to work out. And it did. So I would say that's probably one where you think it's going to be bad. Actually, you talk about that beer where the chiller hose melted, and that beer turned out okay too. It was a little light in the body, but it fermented fine. It
Pretty
Yeah,
fermented
tasty.
fine,
yeah.
and it was like, all right, this is bad. That could have been. Well, but we just went through the process. We were like, all right, well, it's going to be a little watery, and it turned out just fine.
Yeah,
Wasn't the
That's all.
best
It's
it
just
could
light
have
beer
been,
now.
but it wasn't bad. Exactly.
yeah. It's probably more common than having like a disaster type occasion turn into a phenomenal beer is like having a beer that you taste and go, ah, this is okay. Maybe I just didn't hit it right. And so you just sort of put it aside and then you forget about it maybe for a few weeks or a few months or something, especially if you're kegging and you've got plenty of kegs. It's easy to like have something in the back of the fridge. And then you're going to do cleanup and you're like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
here's this pale ale I made, or maybe that's a bad example, but and all of a sudden you say, well, let me just taste it before I pour it out. And you taste it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal, right?
Right.
Like often, like a lot of your maltier beers will do that to you, right? Like you brew something and when it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it, you're like, oh,
Hmm.
this is pretty good. I like this, but I just don't love it. So I'm going to move on. I'll just put it
Hmm.
aside. And then all of a sudden you taste it later and it's really turned into something pretty amazing because all the flavors have come together and
Yeah.
any of the weird stuff is probably settled out. And even just the minute leftover yeast is still trying to do something to the beer. And that's probably more common than like a disaster going the right
Right.
way, but
Exactly. Yep.
is just something having its time to rest and coming together.